Anyone who has watched a sporting event on TV recently has probably noticed ads for sports gambling. They're almost impossible to miss. For instance, during the opening game of the Maple Leafs series with the Florida Panthers, almost 8.5 minutes of gambling ads were aired. At the moment, there are no rules around sports betting ads, but independent Senator Marty Deacon wants to change that. Deacon says gambling ads are dangerous, especially for young people, and she recently introduced legislation that would regulate the practice. And independent Senator Marty Deacon joins us now. So thank you so much for joining us today, Senator. We do appreciate this.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Explain to our audience, if you can, here what your bill would mean for these sports gambling ads that, as we were just saying, of course, are pretty hard to miss these days.
Yes, thank you. And in a nutshell, we're looking at a bill that's coming from the Senate and looking at trying to regulate and get things pulled in. We have a plethora of advertising that I don't think anybody anticipated the rate and degree you've described an NHL game. And how do we go about this to develop common regulations so that regardless of where you are in this country, we have a set of framework, a set of rules that pulls the advertising back. That's part of the bill. The other part of the bill, and that needs cooperation, of course, with the government and the provinces and all of our stakeholders. And the other piece is also trying to ensure that we are looking at the harms connected to advertising and also trying to find ways to help out particularly young people with this.
And talk to us a little bit more about that, about what the motivation was, some of your concerns that have prompted all of this.
Yes, and I will do that. And when we look at the advertising, there are some people who say it's just annoying. It's just annoying and I turn my TV off, or it's just annoying and we work with it. That range, though, for young people, it's become quite addictive and has really turned things upside down. We're looking at work with CAMH, we're looking at work globally that says the group that gets most attracted to this advertising are young people. And particularly when they see what we would call sports celebrities, their role models, their heroes. And in talking mostly to young men, but to a cross-section of families and Canadians, they just, once they start, it's really hard to get off, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, although they know it's wrong. And I think we understand addictions well in this country. This is where my biggest concern is.
And we were just showing some of those examples of some of those celebrities that you were mentioning, Wayne Gretzky, of course, just being one example. Senator Deacon, if this legislation does not pass, what are you worried about? What do you think could possibly happen?
So that's a good question. And a couple of pieces with that, if you don't mind, is that it's legislation that a senator has just introduced. If the government comes in tomorrow or in September and says, hey, we want to take this over, we're going to develop a regulatory framework, I'm happy, very, very happy. And so that's one option that could happen here. If we don't put the focus on this right now, we are going to see season by season, month by month, day by day, more and more Canadians becoming very, very unhealthy and trying to get help that is very difficult to get. We've looked at the global piece, and I've come from a background, so that you know, where through the international sport movement, I saw a lot of match manipulation, match fixing, and even grooming over the last 20 years. We do not want this in Canada. We want to seize this early. Other countries have done it for a while and are now starting to make regulations and try to put things in place. We can learn a lot from the UK right now and another 5 or 6 countries on how to keep this going and going quickly.
Senator Deacon, you supported single sports betting when the issue was first raised a couple of years ago. Why was that, and do you still feel the same way about it?
Yeah, I did support it, and context that a single sport betting bill came to us in the spring in June of 2021, just before an election, and we debated this, and I spoke to it. And again, I just indicate to you my background, but I did think a lot about this. Do I regret it or not? And I still support voting for that bill, and that was to get the illicit black market betting and gambling out of the streets with some regulations and cleaning this up so we could have a Canadian standard set in Canada and working with the provinces. I've gone back to read my speech, and it's on a point of reflection. I talk about my speech, making sure we track and understand the harms. And that is why I'm here today, is we have had this out for a year or two. We have something in advertising that was an unintended explosion. I think we can expect advertising, but the rate I don't think anyone expected. And now, as a senator, I have to act on that.
So, Senator Deacon, we have about 30 seconds left here. Help us understand, walk us through what's going to happen next with your bill.
Sure. Thank you for that. I've had it introduced this week. I'm trying to do a lot of awareness. Then we come back and senators will speak to this to get to its second reading. And then we'll have the really important work. And that's a committee where experts from across the world, witnesses will speak in hearings from all aspects of this. What regulations we should consider? Does this bill make sense? Is it wholesome? Are there improvements or amendments could be made? And then that will come back into the Senate. And then I'm hopeful that we will have it proceed forward to the House for them to review, vote on, and get the action, the national framework that we need desperately and now.
Senator Deacon, thank you so much. Great to speak with you today.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You as well. Independent Senator Marty Deacon there for us.